Hello everyone, welcome back to Form of Therapy. This is the Culture Study. I'm the channel's video producer and your host. You can call me PD. And today we are checking out Boyfriend by Cignature. This is Signature's comeback in a little over a year. They had a comeback last year with Arisong. I believe I actually didn't make a video for Arisong. I actually checked it out on a stream. I just wound up missing it actually. It was an interesting track. I think it was very experimental, and then, I wasn't quite sure how I felt about it, and then eventually I did get to a point where I'm like, okay, I kind of dig this. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they have in store for us with Boyfriend. Before we get into the video, as always, if you'd like to support the channel, you can consider visiting our Patreon. We have bonus reactions over there. We do listening parties. We do reactions to variety content, survival shows. Right now we're checking out Girls Planet and Loud. We also check out K-dramas. Right now we're checking out Vincenzo, Flower of Evil, Devil Judge, Penthouse. So if you want to check that out with us, you can join our Patreon. Of course, you don't have to support us monetarily. You could just watch our videos. Hit the like button. Easy way to help out the channel. All right, guys, let's get into the video. This is Boyfriend by Cignature, and this is your form of therapy. Video looks great so far. I'm digging the lighting aesthetic. Whoa. This is not what I was expecting. What? What the? What? What?
Boyfriend, boyfriend, 날 갖고 노는 boyfriend, boyfriend. 넌 장난치듯 쉽게, 쉽게 화내고 울부짖는 날 달래. So I call you my boyfriend, boyfriend. Yeah, I call you my boyfriend, boyfriend. 세상 모두가 욕해, 욕해. 그래도 바보같이 널 원해. Boyfriend, boyfriend. 습관적인 네 잠수 전화를 걸면 통화 중 이런 너를 대체 난 어떡할까 고민해. 오늘도 늘 너무 완벽한 네 타이밍 끝이라 맘먹은 순간 짤막하게 던져준 다정한 말 난 속아 또 속아. Why is it so sweet? 거짓말인 거 알지만 또 넘어가 난. 넌 너무 나쁜 boyfriend, boyfriend. 날 갖고 노는 boyfriend, boyfriend. 넌 장난치듯 쉽게, 쉽게 화내고 울부짖는 날 달래. Boyfriend, boyfriend. Yeah, I call you my boyfriend, boyfriend. 세상 모두가 욕해, 욕해. 그래도 바보같이 널 원해. 그래도 널 사랑해.
Oh, hell yeah!
다른 사람들은 진짜 널 몰라서 그래. 겉은 거칠해도 속은 난 그런 거. 다른 사람들이 뭐라 해도 상관 안 해. 계속 널 좋아해. 내 하나뿐인 boyfriend, boyfriend. 내 이기적인 boyfriend, boyfriend. 널 놓는 건 난 못해, 못해. 화나고 슬퍼도. So I call you my boyfriend, boyfriend. Yeah, I love you my boyfriend, boyfriend. 세상 모두가 욕해, 욕해. 그래도 바보같이 널 원해. You are my boyfriend, yeah. 널 놓는 거는 못해, 못해. So I call you my boyfriend. Let's go.
Wow. I gotta say, a bold move and direction for Signature. I mean, I thought Arisong was experimental. I mean, in terms of just a production, Arisong is definitely more experimental. But conceptually, Boyfriend, I don't know if we have ever seen someone attempt this in K-pop as a title track. Maybe a few times. Maybe I feel like the closest would be, I'm thinking like Kang Daniel tends to go a little bit of the American pop route, like the straight up American pop route. But I think Boyfriend, there's something about it that is a little bit more, like even more so heavily leaning that way. So I don't listen to too much American pop. I think if I were to, so I'm just throwing names out there just based on kind of like what I know my friends listen to and I've kind of heard in passing. But I don't know if Love would necessarily be the right person to name in this. Maybe it sounds a little more like Lainey. I think I've heard a little bit of their stuff. But, you know, that kind of minimalist American pop route is so very reserved for a lot of American artists. And especially that very, this new, I feel like it's a very Gen Z generation of, whereas if millennials had like emo rock music, like emo pop music is kind of where it's going, right? Billie Eilish really pushed that forward, but there are other artists like Love and Lainey, and I'm sure a handful of other people that I'm just either not aware of or not coming to my mind immediately, that is pushing the emo pop genre. And Boyfriend plays in that emo pop genre. Even just the lyrics, which, you know, we'll do a second watch through because I want to do a second watch through because I think the song is actually really interesting and I kind of want to listen to it a little bit more. But even the lyrics are a little bit bittersweet, and they are both charming and rooted a little bit in sadness, which also makes it interesting, which I think a lot of these minimalist American pop songs do. I'm very curious to see who actually wrote the song. I'm going to look that up real quick because based on just this beat, based on the top line, you know, one can assume that this was probably an American songwriter, but we'll see about that. All right, so as suspected, song was definitely worked on by Western songwriters. Not American, I don't think. They might be American, I don't know, but they have pretty European sounding surnames, so they could be from that part of the world, but definitely not Korean songwriters. Definitely not Korean songwriters, but just going for something that is so slow and does not follow the typical conventional K-pop structure of having powerful choruses or having like that build up in the pre-chorus, just having like a more very dynamic sort of song. That is all of what K-pop's about. And they went the polar opposite of that. And I think like something like this has definitely been done maybe in the B-sides for K-pop artists, but never a title track. So let's go ahead and watch it again. Also, I'm remembering that they're with C9. C9 works, I think, with a lot more Western songwriters as well, because I think CIX does as well. I'm so fascinated. I didn't realize this was Belle until way later on. The mixing is interesting too, how they kind of really suppress the instrumental, and what little there is feels like it's more floating. It feels closer to a soundtrack, you know, like kind of like a slow scene in a movie. It feels more like a score rather than an actual pop song instrumental.
Yeah, I'm full. I'm full. Oh, it's so tragic. 한없이 해로운 네가 So I call you my boyfriend, boyfriend. Yeah, I call you my boyfriend, boyfriend. 세상 모두가 욕해, 욕해. 그래도 바보같이 널 원해.
Wow, Bell took that entire final part of the chorus. Hold on. Let me listen to.
So I call you my boyfriend. 쉽게 쉽게 화내고 울부짖는 날 달래.
Interesting.
So I call you my boyfriend, boyfriend.
Choosing to alternate between the two of them, starting off with a huskier voice, and then she who has a much more like a nasally voice. It's interesting how they directly contrast each other immediately.
Boyfriend, boyfriend.
I think it adds a lot.
Boyfriend, boyfriend. 습관적인 네 잠수 전화를 걸면 통화 중 이런 너를 대체 난 어떡할까 고민해.
The styling for this video also seems to be incorporating a little bit of like the early 2000s R&B sort of vibe, you know, with the beanies, the bucket hats, and obviously that's a modern trend right now too. But you know, the white on white, the what seems like velour sweatpants, like that's definitely a little bit more 2000s R&B sort of aesthetics. But the styling is great in the video, but also the music video goes for a very, very minimalist route. And honestly, it's really risky. There have been several music videos, I think, within the past few years that have tried to go for this, where it's just like, yo, we have a factory or a cyclorama where we can only fit one set, and we kind of got to work with that. And I think they pulled it off. I think one, a mix of the cinematography. The cinematography makes these minimalist sets look really clean rather than cheap. I think the cinematography and the color grading play a very big role in that. I think, you know, whoever worked on that did an amazing job of making this look really clean. And also just like some of the shots and angles in this music video. If I see more, I'll point it out. But like, you know, this isn't a shot you often do, but it looks really nice. Is she new, or am I just do I just not recognize her? I definitely don't recognize her voice either. I love her voice, but I'm like, where has this voice been in the other signature songs? Wow. The choreography is understated, definitely. I think there's probably even more to this choreography that they're not showing us because of these solo glamour shot portions, but right there, first of all, editing team on point, just matching that was perfect, but the visual of the choreography looks so good, like just that unraveling moment. It looks so great. I love her voice. It's so interesting. I think I love the top line in this chorus. It's so amazing. Na 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 na. Like, so a lot of this song, and also why it's risky, is that it's because it's so minimalistic. You need really good singers, which they got that on lock. It sounds great, but then you also need singers who understand the song and can deliver and convey the emotions of the song so properly. This is a bittersweet song. It is a push and pull type of a song. It's equally heartbreaking and it's equally sweet and tragic at the same time. You know, they're singing about, I don't know if the word toxic would be appropriate for what this boyfriend is, but it's kind of a shitty boyfriend, you know, kind of stands her up and, you know, misses dates, forgets anniversaries and shit like that. You know, it's a shitty boyfriend. And yet they sing about how, you know, they are still inexplicably still drawn to them and still call them their boyfriend. And maybe there's a little bit more to the song. Well, that's just what I'm getting off of just like my first listen. But the way they convey that emotion, because it's such a complex song, like the emotions are complex, where it's like you hate this fucker, but you also love this fucker. To convey that properly is so difficult for especially a young group like this, a rookie group like this, but they pulled it off seamlessly. I personally am a big fan of this comeback because Nu는 Anna was fine. I really loved Asa. I like Arisong. So they did like the various different stuff in the pop genre, but this is really showcasing their vocals. This is showcasing also their ability to kind of show a more earnest side of themselves. And so I think this did so much for them, for me anyways, but I'm curious as to how this is going to work out for them promotionally. But it's so good. My favorite part's about to come up. It's not. Is it only one? I thought she went on longer. I don't know who it is. It might be her, but I don't know who it is. Someone is popping off in the background. Oh, she starts earlier. She starts here. Whoever it is. Ooh, hitting that high note. This bridge is amazing.
내 하나뿐인 boyfriend, boyfriend, 내 이기적인 boyfriend, boyfriend. 널 놓는 건 난 못해, 못해. 화나고 슬퍼도. So I call you my boyfriend, boyfriend. Yeah, I love you, my boyfriend, boyfriend. 세상 모두가 욕해, 욕해. 그래도 바보같이 널 원해.
It's gotta be her.
So I call you my boyfriend. Let's go. So I call you.
This is an inspired shot. I mean, this is basically the end of the video, but my goodness, this is an amazing shot. I love it so much.
So I call you my boyfriend.
Cinematography in this music video was friggin' top notch. This was so good. This was so good. This is one of the best bridges I've heard in a K-pop song in my life. And I think something they adopted from American pop music that K-pop does not do as much. It also depends on the group. You know, there are some groups like, say, Red Velvet, where they show off their vocals. But there are often times when I listen to K-pop songs, especially girl groups, and I'm like, all right, and we need a high note right here. And then they go, and then they don't hit all the way. And it's like, I can hear that her voice can go all the way, but they don't let her go all the way. And that's something I think American pop music does really well. I think a lot of American pop artists are really good at showcasing, I'm a really good singer. And sometimes you gotta show off. I do think there has to be a healthy balance of like showing off your talents as a singer if the song calls for it, obviously. Now, if you know you're the type of person who just shows off in a song and like, okay, this feels inappropriate for the style of the song, then that's one thing. But whenever it calls for it, I feel like high notes are very welcome. Very powerful notes are very welcome. And that layering right there in the bridge was so dope. I wish it had gone on longer. But honestly, just even them doing it at all, I consider that a very personal victory. But Boyfriend by Signature, everything about this is so risky. Conceptually, vocally, but shit, if this works, it works. I mean, a lot of K-pop groups are trying to go for a Western-friendly approach. I don't know if that was necessarily their intention here. I don't know if they're like kind of aiming their sights on America with this, but they might be. And the reason I say that is because a lot of K-pop groups have, tried putting songs, especially to like go viral on TikTok or get it more spread on TikTok. So they go for the much more Western pop sounds, throw in the more Western pop type of simple minimalist songs with catchy hooks type of thing. Now, there is usually like a very similar pattern to all of them. Boyfriend does not fall into that pattern. They went a completely different route with it. But, it's one of those songs where it's soft, but it goes hard. And those songs are kind of a dime a dozen, and oftentimes they are not title tracks. So I really respect for Signature's team for doing this. Like I said, I think it remains to be seen whether or not it was a good move or not. But personally, I love it. 10 out of 10. I think the music video, as simple and minimalistic as it is, the cinematography is inspired. It is a beautiful, beautiful music video. Doesn't have your typical K-pop digital look to it. They definitely gave it a much more film approach to it. They gave it that film look with the overexposed lighting, the controlled lighting. Everything looked really great. The color grading was fantastic. I gotta stop cursing so much. And then the song was great. They showed off their vocals. They really showcased their vocals in a way that I didn't even know that they were capable of. Like, I wouldn't say I'm the biggest Signature fan, but I did watch a bunch of Signature's variety stuff, and I really, really enjoyed it. And it really made me a fan of these girls. And seeing them in this video also made me like feel nostalgic. I'm like, oh, damn, I forgot I really liked these girls. I'm glad they're back. So, yeah, all I can say is a 10 out of 10 comeback from me. It could be very divisive. I totally understand if it is divisive amongst people. So I would like to know, what are your thoughts? What do you guys think about Signature's Boyfriend? I don't think this is necessarily a change in direction for them. I think what they've done since Nununana and then Asa and then Arisong is they experiment a lot with the various different sounds that they do. And they always go for very loud, very ambitious styles. And I gotta admit, I love that. There are groups where they change concepts left and right, comeback to comeback, but they are not ambitious, which is, I think, the falling point. Because I think the most stable way to go for a group is to have a consistent sound for the group, develop a sound for the group. But that's not to say you can never do the experimental route with the group. And so if you're going to go the experimental route, or like if you're like changing genres, comeback to comeback, there has to be something about that song and about your comeback that is just different. If you're just doing the same K-pop song, same girl crush song, same dark boy group badass song, every like comeback, but you're just switching it up and it's just a very generic style of producing, then what's the point? Right? And how do you stand out if you don't even have a developed sound and if you're switching your sound and genre left and right? So I think Signature so far, I'm a big fan of like the direction that they're taking their title track music, but I would love to know your thoughts. Guys, let me know your thoughts on Boyfriend in the comments down below. Once again, if you'd like to support the channel, you can visit our Patreon. If you want to support us directly for free, though, you can hit the like button down below, leave a comment, check out our other videos over here, and we'll see you next time. Bye.